Archangel Michael says, there are moments when the veil between worlds grows thin, and something unseen reaches through. A loved one entered your room, expecting to find peace, but instead, they froze in terror. In the dim light, a shadowy woman stood there, watching, waiting. The air grew thick, heavy with an unexplainable presence that sent chills down their spine. They tried to move, tried to speak, but something held them still, as if an invisible force had gripped their very soul. The figure did not vanish instantly, it lingered, its dark form shifting ever so slightly, as if breathing. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the shadowy woman was gone, dissolving into the very walls as if she had never been there. But the energy she left behind was undeniable, a haunting imprint that refused to fade. Something had been there, something had watched, and its presence was still lurking, unseen but not unfelt. This was no ordinary encounter, it was a chilling sign, a warning, a message delivered in the most unsettling way. The spiritual world had broken through, revealing itself in a form that could not be ignored. Something was happening, something beyond human understanding, and this was only the beginning. Like this video if you feel the shift in the air. The loved one rushed out, their breath uneven, heart pounding in their chest like a hammer against stone. They knew they had seen something real, something beyond explanation, and yet they could not put it into words. They struggled to tell you, their voice shaking, their hands trembling as they recounted what they had witnessed. You listened, a strange sense of recognition blooming in your chest, as if a part of you already knew. Perhaps you had felt it before, the slight unease in your room, the sensation of being watched when no one was there. And now, with this sighting, the truth was undeniable, something had made itself known. The presence had not come without purpose. It had chosen to appear in your space, in your sanctuary, and that meant something. Whether it was a warning, a message, or something else entirely, you could no longer ignore the reality of what had just happened. Something unseen, something powerful, had left its mark. And deep inside, you could feel that this was not the end, it was only the beginning. Type 999 to claim divine protection. The nights that followed carried a strange weight, as if the atmosphere itself had changed. You noticed the small things first, the flicker of shadows where there should be none, the whisper of movement just beyond your vision. The energy in your room was different now, heavier, charged with something unspoken. If you wish to show your appreciation, you can give super thanks up to $50. You tried to dismiss it, telling yourself it was nothing, but your body knew better. A chill crept along your skin at odd moments, an instinctual reaction to something unseen. The air was no longer neutral, it carried something foreign, something watching. And then came the dreams, vivid and strange, as if something was trying to reach you. Shadows moved within them, shifting, whispering, pressing closer each night. You would wake in the middle of the night, heart hammering, unsure of what was real and what was not. The line between dreams and reality had begun to blur. Something was reaching out, something was trying to be heard. And the more you ignored it, the stronger it became. Type 333 to break the grip of unseen forces. You began to notice patterns, strange occurrences that aligned too perfectly to be mere coincidences. Objects were not where you had left them, small but undeniable changes in your surroundings. A faint knocking sound, rhythmic and deliberate, echoed in the silence of the night. The energy in your room pulsed, alive with an unseen force. At times, you swore you heard a whisper, just beyond the threshold of your hearing, never clear enough to understand but impossible to ignore. The presence was growing bolder, making itself known in ways that could no longer be dismissed. This was not an accident. This was intentional. The shadowy figure had not come and gone without reason, it had left something behind, an energy that refused to be erased. It was waiting, watching, and now it was demanding to be acknowledged. Type 444 to shield your home from dark energy. And then, the moment came when you could no longer push it aside. You were alone in your room when the temperature dropped, sudden and unnatural. The feeling of being watched intensified, pressing against your senses with an almost physical weight. Your breath turned shallow, your heartbeat a heavy drum in your chest. And then, movement. A shadow flickered in the corner of your vision, gone the moment you turned your head. But the presence remained. It was there. The energy was thick, suffocating, wrapping around you like unseen hands. Your instincts screamed for you to move, to run, to do anything but stay frozen in place. But fear held you still, your body locked in place by the weight of the unknown. Type 111 for divine intervention. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. And then, just when the fear threatened to consume you, something shifted. A presence unlike the shadowy figure filled the space, strong, radiant, undeniable. The darkness recoiled, pulling back as an unseen force flooded the room with power and light. Archangel Michael says, "You are not alone in this battle. The forces of darkness may try to reach you, but divine light stands stronger. You have been chosen to stand firm, to recognize the shift, and to call upon the power that will cast out all darkness. Your strength is greater than the fear that grips you. The shadowy presence may have come, but it cannot remain where the divine light shines. It will flee, retreating into the nothingness from which it came, unable to withstand the force that now fills your space. Your home is not theirs to claim. Your spirit is not theirs to touch. What was meant to shake you has only awakened something greater within you. Type 888 to seal your protection. The days that followed carried a different energy. The shadows no longer loomed, the air no longer felt heavy with unseen weight. The whispers had ceased, the unnatural cold had lifted, and peace had returned. Something had been driven away. Something had been broken. And you, standing in the aftermath, had emerged stronger than before. But the encounter was not without purpose. It had been a test, a moment of revelation, a glimpse beyond the veil. And though the shadow was gone, you now understood something deeper about the unseen world. You had felt its weight. You had stood at the edge of fear. And now, you carried the knowledge that light would always triumph. Archangel Michael says, you have been called to awareness. The battle between light and darkness is real, but victory is always within reach. The divine forces stand with you, shielding you, protecting you, ensuring that no darkness may claim what belongs to the light. Your spirit is strong. Your faith is unshaken. And from this moment forward, no shadow can stand in the presence of your divine power. Archangel Michael says, there are moments when the unseen world collides with the physical, revealing things that were never meant to be seen. A mysterious presence has made itself known, and its appearance is not by accident. Someone close to you has witnessed something beyond explanation, something that sends a chilling warning. It began as a fleeting moment, a shadow in your room, a whisper in the silence, a feeling that something was terribly wrong. But then, the figure became clear, standing where no one should be, watching with eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. It was a woman, but not of this world, her form shifting, her presence heavy with something unnatural. The air thickened, suffocating, pressing in with an overwhelming sense of dread. The person who saw her felt frozen, unable to move, unable to look away, trapped in a moment that seemed to stretch forever. And then, just when they thought they would break free, something happened that defied all logic. The figure moved, not like a person, but like a shadow that melted and reformed, inching closer, silent, deliberate. And in that instant, everything shifted, the atmosphere twisting into something sinister. Type 777 if you sense the energy shifting around you. The mysterious woman did not vanish right away. Instead, she lingered, as if waiting, as if searching for something unseen. Her presence was undeniable, her existence breaking the natural order of reality itself. And then, she was gone. Not in the way a person walks away, but as if the space around her swallowed her whole, as if she was never truly there but had left something behind. The one who saw her could still feel it, an energy, a disturbance, a haunting imprint that refused to fade. Fear gripped their heart as they turned to you, their voice trembling as they recounted what they had seen. Their hands shook, their breath uneven, their eyes wide with terror, knowing that what they had witnessed was no dream. This was a message. A warning. A sign of something more. Type 999 to break the hold of unseen forces. The nights that followed carried an eerie stillness, an unnatural quiet that seemed to hum beneath the surface. Something had been set in motion, something unseen yet undeniably real. And though the figure was gone, the feeling of being watched had not left. You noticed the little things, the shift in the air, the way shadows seemed to stretch and twist in ways that defied logic. You felt it, deep in your bones, a primal sense that something was out of place. You were no longer alone, even in an empty room. The dreams began soon after. Dark, vivid, filled with whispers and movement just beyond reach. They felt more real than dreams should, as if something was trying to slip through the cracks of reality. If you wish to show your appreciation, you can give super thanks up to $50. You would wake up gasping for breath, drenched in cold sweat, your heart pounding with the weight of something unseen. And each time, the feeling of being watched would linger, as if whatever had appeared had not truly left. Type 333 to drive out all darkness. Things escalated. The shadows no longer stayed in their corners, they moved when no one was looking. Objects shifted, small things disappearing and reappearing in places they did not belong. A faint knocking sound echoed through the silence, rhythmic, deliberate, an unmistakable presence making itself known. Your instincts screamed at you to act, to acknowledge what was happening, to face the reality that something was reaching into your world. But fear gripped you, the unknown pressing against your spirit like an invisible weight. You did not want to believe, but you could no longer deny it. This was no accident. No random occurrence. The mysterious woman had left her mark, and whatever force had sent her was not done yet. And then, the unthinkable happened. Type 444 if you feel the presence around you. You were alone when the room changed, when the air turned thick, when the temperature dropped, when the world around you seemed to slow. A sound, barely a whisper, brushed against your ear, so close it sent a chill down your spine. And then, in the reflection of a nearby surface, you saw it. She was there. Not standing, not walking, but shifting, her form flickering in and out of reality, as if she existed between worlds. Her face was unclear, but her presence was unmistakable, heavy with something beyond human understanding. Your breath caught in your throat as the space around you twisted. The walls felt like they were closing in, the shadows pulsing as if alive, as if they carried something waiting to step forward. And in that moment, a force unlike anything you had felt before surged through the air. Something powerful had entered your space. Type 111 to claim divine protection now. A battle was unfolding, one beyond what the eyes could see, beyond what the mind could comprehend. You could feel it, the pull between forces, the clash of unseen energies fighting for dominion over your space. The darkness pushed forward, but something greater pushed back. Archangel Michael says, "You are not defenseless." The forces of darkness may attempt to enter, but they cannot stand where divine power resides. What was meant to shake you will only awaken the light within you. The energy in the room shifted as something stronger entered. A presence of power, of divine light, of undeniable authority filled the space. The darkness recoiled, the air lightened, and the grip of fear began to loosen. The battle was being fought, but the outcome had already been decided. No shadow, no force, no entity could stand against the presence of divine intervention. Type 888 to seal your home in protection. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. The presence that had haunted your space, the shadow that had watched, the force that had tried to claim ground, it had been cast out. The air was different now, lighter, free from the weight that once clung to it. The battle was won, and the mysterious woman, whatever she was, could no longer return. But this was not just a warning, it was a call to awaken. You had seen beyond the veil, felt the shift in the unseen, and now you understood. The forces that exist beyond human sight are real, but so is the power of divine light. You had stood in the presence of fear, but you had also stood in the presence of victory. You had faced the unknown, and now you carried the strength of one who has seen and overcome. Archangel Michael says, "You were not chosen for fear, you were chosen for strength." You have been shown what lies beyond, not to weaken you, but to prepare you. The light within you is greater than any shadow that tries to rise. You are protected. You are powerful. And from this moment forward, no darkness can stand in your presence. Archangel Michael says, there are forces that linger in the darkness, unseen by most but felt by those who are sensitive to the shift in energy. A loved one entered your space, expecting nothing but silence, only to be met with something chilling. In the corner of your room, where the shadows were the deepest, she stood, watching, waiting, unmoving. The air thickened, suffocating, charged with something unnatural. The figure was not like an ordinary person, her presence carried weight, something unexplainable, something deeply unsettling. The loved one who saw her could not breathe, could not speak, frozen in place as fear clawed at their chest. She did not move at first. She simply stood there, eyes locked on something unseen, as if observing, as if calculating. The room itself seemed to react, the walls pressing in, the atmosphere warping into something foreign and wrong. Then, just as the loved one thought they might break free from the paralyzing grip of terror, the woman shifted. It was not a step, not a natural movement, but something far more disturbing. Type 777 if you feel the energy shifting around you. The shadows wrapped around her like liquid, distorting as she leaned forward, the darkness pulling and twisting in response. The loved one stumbled back, heart pounding, mind screaming for escape. But the room felt endless, stretching, as if time itself had fractured. She raised her hand, slow and deliberate, and in that moment, everything changed. The lights flickered, the air crackled with unseen energy, and a low, humming sound vibrated through the walls. She was more than just a presence, she was something far more dangerous. The loved one gasped as the overwhelming energy became too much, their body weak, their spirit trembling under the weight of something unnatural. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The figure vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only the crushing silence, the residual fear that clung to every inch of the room. But the message was clear, this was no mere sighting. This was a warning. Type 999 to break the hold of unseen forces. The days that followed carried an eerie stillness, an unnatural quiet that did not belong. You felt it in your bones, the sensation of being watched even when no one was there. The loved one who had seen her could not shake the terror, could not erase the image from their mind. It was more than just a shadow. It was something sent, something with purpose, something waiting for the right moment to make itself known. And you, whether you wanted to or not, had become the center of its attention. The dreams began soon after, dark, vivid, filled with whispers and figures just beyond reach. You woke in cold sweat, heart racing, the fear from sleep bleeding into your waking reality. The energy around you had shifted, and now you could feel what had always been lurking. There were no accidents, no random encounters. The presence had come for a reason, and it had left a mark that would not fade. Type 333 to drive out all darkness. Strange occurrences began to manifest, small at first, but undeniable. Objects were not where you had left them. The air carried a weight, thick and heavy, pressing against your chest like an unseen force. The shadows in your room no longer stayed still, they moved when you were not looking. A faint knocking echoed through the silence, rhythmic, deliberate, always at the same time each night. It was not the sound of a house settling, not something explainable, but something waiting to be acknowledged. And deep down, you knew, this was connected to what had been seen. The mysterious woman had not left. She was still there, watching, waiting. Then, one night, the horror truly began. Type 444 if you feel the presence around you. You were alone, but the room felt anything but empty. The temperature dropped, the air growing so cold you could see your breath. And then, a whisper, so close, yet so distant, brushing against your ear with an icy touch. You turned, but there was nothing. Nothing but the reflection in the darkened window, where something shifted just beyond your sight. The sensation of being watched became unbearable, as if unseen eyes were locked onto you, following every breath, every movement. Your pulse quickened as an unseen force pressed against your shoulders, as if trying to keep you still, as if something wanted you to stay. The darkness felt alive, breathing, moving, waiting for something to happen. And then, she stepped forward. Type 111 to claim divine protection now. She was there, standing where she had always been, her presence undeniable. But this time, she was closer. This time, there was no mistaking the sheer power that radiated from her form. The room itself seemed to bow to her presence, the walls vibrating with unseen energy. Archangel Michael says, "You are not alone in this battle. The darkness may try to reach you, but divine power stands stronger. You are being called to awareness, to recognize the forces that move unseen, to understand that light will always stand victorious over the shadow." She tried to move closer, but something stopped her. A force more powerful than the darkness pushed back, filling the space with something unshakable. The air grew warm, the pressure lifted, and in an instant, she was gone. The shift was undeniable. The presence that had haunted you, that had watched you from the shadows, had been driven out. The space around you was no longer heavy, no longer clouded with unseen forces. The battle had been fought, and the victory was yours. Type 888 to seal your home in protection. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. The days that followed carried a sense of clarity, a lightness that had been missing before. The shadows no longer moved, the air no longer carried that oppressive weight. What had once tried to claim your space had been cast out, unable to stand in the presence of divine power. But this was more than just a haunting. This was a revelation. A call to recognize the unseen, to understand that the battle between light and darkness is real. And now, you carried the knowledge, the awareness, the strength to stand firm. You had faced the fear, had walked through the darkness, and had emerged stronger than before. No presence, no entity, no force of shadow could take hold where divine light resided. You were protected. You were chosen. You were victorious. Archangel Michael says, you were not given fear, but strength. The forces that move unseen hold no power over you. From this moment forward, you walk in divine protection, surrounded by the light that no shadow can withstand. Your spirit is unshaken. Your home is sealed in protection. And no darkness will ever claim what belongs to the light.